First PTS, there were 6 questions which you should not have attempted if that was the way, that was where you basically check, do you have the acumen to leave it? Do you have the acumen to leave it? There were newspaper journals questions. There were certain questions, very factual questions. 6 questions were there. If you're attempting that without no idea, guessing, then you're not getting the point. There were 40 to 45 questions of history. 30 questions to 35 questions were such which could be managed easily with basic understanding. Basic to basic understanding. These 15 questions were the ones which play with your mind. You judge your performance with these 15. And that is the problem. If you're getting basic things, Yashwant, Maurya question, you would be better equipped to do it because you've not done art and culture. When I'll do art and culture with you, I'll give you another set of sources. You only know the sources which have been mentioned in Mauryas. You are not equipped to basically answer even the art and culture question. For example, most of you got the Bharatanatyam question incorrect. Most probably. You have no idea about Bharatanatyam question. You have no idea about the puppetry question. You have no idea about those questions itself. First thing I say in the puppetry Silapadikram. And the second thing which I say about Bharatanatyam is Sadir. So the problem is you are not equipped. I asked you to give the examination to see the type of questions. 6 questions. Sankhya also very easy, straightforward. Those were the questions which you get. Those are the questions we get. For example, the 1861 question was very easy. The 1935 Act question was difficult, but 61 was very, very easy. The simple question with 1793 question, which is when did it happen? There are questions. See, you get 58, you get 65, you get 40, you get 0. Doesn't really matter with you. Because you are not capable of answering half of the questions. You are not equipped to do it. I asked you to give it because that way at least you will know what type of questions can be made. And a lot of you are extremely what we call as excited to do questions. Pritesh, I'm not teaching anything. What will you understand? First line, 6 minutes into the class, not understanding. I'm not talking to you right now. The simple point is, the discussion is, you are saying, sir, I am depressed after giving PTS1. You are not managing polity. You are not managing history. Polity, I don't know where you're going wrong. Current affairs questions would also have been turned out to be very difficult for you because current affairs questions were difficult in that regard. But the 45 questions which were there, straightforward out of history, 30 questions were manageable. 30 questions were extremely manageable. And that is where you have to get 70 to 75 questions correct. And that is where you get above 100. If you do not have the acumen, to know which question to leave and which question to do, that is why mocks are important. So, doesn't really matter how many marks you get. Pritesh, I don't know you are talking about. Yes, I'm actually going to ignore you. I'm not teaching anything. You're saying, please help me. I'm not teaching. I'm waiting for people to join in. At 10, at what we call 5:10, we'll start. I'm talking to the students. 13, 0, 5, 0, minus 50 doesn't matter. Did you get the point of the paper? Because art and culture was not difficult. Art and culture was the easiest part. If you will do art and culture, you will realize that the painting question was very difficult. Hoysaleshwara art was very, very difficult. Otulang, that question which you have, the Otulanga, which is a Kerala-based understanding, that is something I did last year with regards to current affairs. Straightforward questions. 1833-53 doesn't completely abolish the trade of East India Company. But it does take away, so you got the first question incorrect only. That doesn't really take away the fact that both of them were based on taking the monopoly away. And as the Industrial Revolution happened, laissez-faire politics became important. Capitalism does not like monopolies, and therefore that was the concept. There, I don't know if you've done Modern India with me or someone else. That's a separate issue altogether. Both capable enough to teach you, but the fact of the matter is that therein you need implied understanding. If merchant Vaishyas are ruling Nagaram, then why called upper caste didn't revolt and object to the same? Because that is not how Chola country works. Because at the end of the day, when the power is given by the king to somebody, you don't revolt against Rajendra Chola, he'll kill you. So don't talk about revolts in that sense. So very simply, Shaimil, that issue has already been resolved. I don't know what you're checking. Module number 6 is not geography, it is history. We resolved that yesterday itself. So very simply, for example, didn't I talk about Brahmagiri with you? Brahmagiri and the megalithic site showed you on the map also. When we were doing the megalithic sites, Maski Brahmagiri I showed you. Straightforward. And it just asked which of the following are megalithic sites. You right now are not capable of answering those questions. So why are you getting depressed? I don't get it. And if you will get depressed by mocks also have at least 10 to 15 questions where we're telling you something, where we're giving you extra information. So understand where you are weak. You are weak in art and culture. Obviously, I have not taught you art and culture. You're weak in medieval India. Obviously, you don't know medieval India. Was it decentralization of power? Can you please tell the major reasons behind collapse of empires in ancient medieval India? Rana, either you joined me right now or you don't remember it. All recipes of empires decline are the same. Corruption, foreign intrusion, internal disturbances, fiscal issues, weak successor, standard things. Okay. On what basis any site considered an archaeological site? If it is only an archaeological site. But sir, tea monopoly is there in China in 1833 Act. No, it isn't. 1813, India gone, China there. 1833, both gone. So, Ayush, I don't know what you're saying. There's something called mains test series also. MTS is also there. When the mains time will come. No issues, Vaishnavi, just watch the recording. Okay. Jhansi Rani, that will happen. See, simple point. Because I want to now start the class. Who is the last of Delhi Sultanate? Shivam, I don't know what you mean by that. Who's the last ruler, last day, last period? First, fully write the questions. Last thing which I will say, because you've given PTS, simple point. When you give the PTS, if you'll start to get demoralized, then that whole set will, 36 papers will make you depressed. Simple point is, you should be able to do the easy questions and moderate questions. The difficult questions are very strategically placed there. And the placement is to make sure in the examination also 30 questions as it is will not come from history. 20 questions which come, 15 will be manageable. Stay away from the 5. In a sectional test, the number goes up because the number, all 100 questions are out of history only. 30 to 35 questions you will never be able to manage. That I can guarantee to you. That is a guarantee to you. Because those are made in a certain way which you can't manage. If you are getting the 20 to 25 in 15 in the examination and your 30 to 35 questions incorrect, which should have been correct, then there's a problem. That is the only thing. With this, we start our discussion. Can we start? Yes. Okay. Now, we yesterday stopped at a point where the first battle of terrain happened and the second battle of terrain happened. And in the first battle, we know that Prithviraj Chauhan won. But in the second battle of terrain, Prithviraj lost to Gori. And now Gori establishes his empire in India and specifically in the Delhi sector. Now, for module number 2, of this period, you have 4 chapters out of Satish Chandra which are relevant, and 1 chapter out of the 7th class NCERT. And again, you want to read it, sure. If you don't want to, that's totally your call. 1206 to 1414 is considered the period of the Delhi Sultanate. There's a very big debate, 1414 and 1450. This is Sayyids. This is Lodhis. People tend to argue that they are part of the Delhi Sultanate, but they aren't. That's a standard thing which a lot of books do, which is add Sayyid and Lodhis into the whole mix. They aren't. Sayyids had nothing to do with Delhi Sultanate. They had been brought by Timur, which we'll discuss. So, according to me, and according to most academic sources, 1414 Delhi Sultanate ends. But in certain books, you'll find it 1450 also. But doesn't really matter. For you, I'll give you a timeline in which Sayyids and Lodhis will be broken up. Simple point is, Sayyids have nothing to do with Delhi Sultanate generally. Every other dynasty before this was indigenous to India. Sayyids were not indigenous to India. They were brought by Timur to India, and therefore Timur's nominee was Sayyids. It will not make sense to you right now. It will then later. But the simple point is, Delhi Sultanate period 1206 to 1414 it is, but 1415 also you will find in the different books. Now here we have to discuss multiple things, polity, administration, but the number of questions which come, or most of the questions come out of this area. These are called Alauddin Khilji market reforms, and this is called Muhammad bin Tughlaq's 4 experiments, and a question out of Iqta is also quite plausible, because these are the 3 areas out of which the most fertile areas to ask questions, which is the experiments of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the market reforms, and Iqta. Most probably we'll do Iqta today. Now I have to tell you something very important. Now pay attention. Now see, Gori comes from which empire or dynasty? Which empire dynasty he comes from? The Ghuridian Empire. Very good. Ghuridian Empire. Ghurid Empire. Very good. Now tell me one thing. Why is that when Gori wins, we still call it Delhi Sultanate? Shouldn't be called Ghuridian Sultanate? Ghurid Sultanate. Capital was Gor. Capital was not Delhi. There's a very specific reason for this. Delhi Sultanate is Delhi Sultanate because capital of Delhi Sultanate is what Qutb Minar established. But it is part of the Ghuridian Empire. Then how is that we call it Delhi Sultanate? This is the first question which I need to answer. Now the answer to this question you will understand if you will look at the whole configuration of India. Now we have the Khwarizmi Empire here, having a border with the Ghuridian Empire. And now Gor has established himself in 2 sectors. One is the one with the Indus in a way as the dividing line. One is the core Ghurid area, Ghurid Empire, which is basically from Gor. And the other one is the expansion into Delhi and what he's taken via the erstwhile Chauhan area. By defeating the Second Battle of Tarin, he's basically created 2. Now, Gor is a very old man. He's very, very old when he comes and fights the first and second battle. So he does not want to sit in Delhi, obviously, because his empire is in Gor. So what he does is he appoints two governors. The first governor of this sector, which is west of Indus, is a person called Yalduz. And the second governor, which is of the Indian sector, is Qutbuddin Aibak. Is Qutbuddin Aibak. Now, both are equal in status because both are governors. The whole empire has been divided into two parts. And both are basically slaves also. In Islamic traditions, there's a very, what we call as proper established slave trade of very able-bodied men. Means basically, you can buy soldiers, you can buy men in these slave markets. And therefore, Muhammad of Gori had bought both Yalduz and Qutbuddin Aibak as slaves and made them a part of his administration. Two very important deputies of Gor. Now, what happens is that Mahmud of Gori dies. As soon as Mahmud of Gori dies, Yalduz says to Qutbuddin Aibak that because I rule over the core area, you need to report to me. You need to report to me. Now, if you go by the status, does it make sense for Qutbuddin Aibak to report to Yalduz? No, because both were governors, both were equal rank, and when Gori died, he is asking to report. Now, Yalduz says no, because I am ruling from Gor, I am the one who succeeds Mahmud of Gori. You need to report to me, and you need to come to Multan from time to time and tell me what is happening in your area. Now, Qutbuddin Aibak found this unacceptable. Qutbuddin Aibak said that I cannot report to a person who was equal to me, both slaves, part of the Ghuridian Empire. And that is why in 1191 and 1192 the battles happen. But in 1206, Qutbuddin Aibak takes a very important step for the Indian subcontinent, which is that he decides that he will sever all ties with Central Asia. He will sever or basically remove all ties with Central Asia. And he said that I am not part of your empire, the Ghuridian Empire. I will rule from Delhi and my sultanate will be called Delhi Sultanate. That is why Delhi Sultanate has a separate identity to Ghuridian Empire. Because in 1206, Qutbuddin Aibak severed all ties with Central Asia and in turn became a separate entity. Now, why am I telling you this? Because there's a lot of misinformation. WhatsApp University, some would be in this class also, who will say that their tone changes. As soon as they come into medieval India, their tone changes. Till ancient India, it remains us. And as soon as we go into the medieval period, Delhi Sultanate, it becomes they. And othering comes in. And the simple point is that Delhi Sultanate is more Indian than any other sultanate in the whole of this world. More than that, Qutbuddin Aibak developed the sultanate and his successors independent of any influence of culture or administrative or religious understanding of Central Asia. The Chauhans were ruling Delhi after they captured the Tomars. The Khilapuri was already established. Delhi or Delhi, the name was basically Delhi. Delhi was the name which was basically there. Delhi Sultanate, but we make it Delhi Sultanate. And Delhi Sultanate is truly Delhi Sultanate. And therefore, Qutbuddin Aibak's most important task was to make sure that the Indian subcontinent becomes watertight again, and the northwestern sector now becomes a separate entity also. That Indus again becomes our border. And more than that, I will tell you, this is going to be extremely important for the Indian subcontinent, because something is going to happen by 1218, which is going to have a major repercussion if the Delhi Sultans had not intervened in that regard. But the first thing which basically what Qutbuddin Aibak does is he severs ties with the Central Asian sector, and that is why it's not called Ghurid Sultanate, it's not called Ghuridian Empire, it's called Delhi Sultanate. Delhi Sultanate because this Sultanate truly was ruled from Delhi, and all notions of kingship, understanding, institutions, all were Indian in that regard, or indigenous to India in that sense. Temur is not going to come right now, 1398. So, are we clear what is the first thing which Qutbuddin did? Or why do we call it Delhi Sultanate? You understand that? Okay. Sachin, I've also already answered you twice. Either you're not listening to me or you're just copy pasting. Delhi ka naam Delhi kab pada? Bola na. That it was called Dikhilapuri. Then it became Delhi. Delhi is a name which the British gave. They changed the L and H. So that is why Nasruddin Chirag Dehlavi. That word is Dehlavi. Okay. Yalduz became king after dying of Gori. Yes. He basically usurped that sector. Can we call the Aibak as our person? Aditya, abhi wo communalism I will take out from you. Don't worry about it. Already not even 26 minutes into this discussion. Are we, they will come. Don't worry about that. No issues. Yes, he is your ruler, not someone else's ruler. Okay. Now, can I move one step forward? Because herein lies another important thing which he will do. Qutbuddin Aibak? Yes. Okay. Now, first thing which he does is that he establishes the Delhi Sultanate truly. And that is why the year of establishment is 1206. 1206, Qutbuddin Aibak establishes the Delhi Sultanate. Now he reaches Mehrauli. And when he reaches Mehrauli, he sees an iron pillar there. That iron pillar was of whom? Who was the one who established the Mehrauli iron pillar? Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. Chandragupta II Vikramaditya had established the Mehrauli pillar, which is known to be the one which does not rust. And Chandragupta II Vikramaditya pillar was standing in front of Qutbuddin Aibak. So Qutbuddin Aibak said that if this is how we commemorate power, he said, I will establish my own minar, and that is called the Qutb Minar. He said, if it's about establishing power, I will establish my own minar, and that will be called the Qutb Minar. We'll discuss the Qutb Minar, Delhi Sultanate architecture when we'll go into art and culture. But Qutb Minar, there are three people associated with it. Qutbuddin Aibak laid the foundations. He laid the foundations, but he never was able to see it basically get constructed. He was not able to see it get constructed because he will die playing polo. It is his son-in-law, Iltutmish, who completes the Qutb Minar. And then a lot of you email me about this. Either you don't listen to me or you are oblivious of it, if you look at the Qutb Minar, the first three levels look the same, but the fourth level does not look the same. That is because there was a lightning strike on the Qutb Minar and the fourth level got destroyed. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq actually reconstructed the fourth level in marble, and that is why it looks different. So there are two basic contributions of Qutbuddin Aibak. One very major, which is establishment of Delhi Sultanate itself, and second is the foundation stone of the Qutb Minar. Now, before I go forward, I will give you all the important names of the rulers. This is expected that you know these and don't have to again die over learning the smaller ones. So basically, three dynasties mean three families ruled the Delhi Sultanate. What is the criteria of demarcation between ancient and medieval? Again, sadhana, either you are new, it's when decentralization polity comes through, when the fragmented army comes through, when there is urban decline, when there is fragmentation of polity. That is when we believe that there's a difference between demarcation between early medieval and ancient. But don't fall into the trap of the British, which is ancient equals to Hindu, be medieval equals to Muslim, modern equals to British. That is a literal crime to do if you are trying to push it like that. Basically, we don't think of it like that in any way or form now, because firstly, most of the rulers in the medieval period, in the ancient period, were Buddhist. So we rather call it the Buddhist period. But that's a separate issue altogether. In medieval, early medieval, I've already told you what is a demarcation point. So there are three dynasties which rule. One is called Mamluk or slave dynasty. Mamluk because they are Mamluk Turks. That is the sub category of them. 1206 when Qutb Minar foundation was laid. 1207-8 he added it, and by 10 he will die. Again, Qutb Minar, I will tell you, these quiz questions we will do in art and culture. Okay. In this, there are three rulers which are very important. Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, not 3 but 4, Iltutmish, Razia, Balban. Thereafter, obviously Islamicized. Thereafter, we have Khiljis, Here you have two very important, Jalaluddin Khilji and Alauddin Khilji. And after these two, you have the Tughlaqs. After these two, you have the Tughlaqs. Tughlaqs, there are again three. Ghiyasuddin, thereafter Muhammad bin, and Firoz Shah. Now, in any way or form, and in no form, this is a comprehensive list. For example, between Razia and Balban, there is a person called Khusraw. Then there is two more Khiljis, three more Tughlaqs. But they are not important to me. Because if you can remember them, you are doing 90% of the job. When you've learned these, then you move to the in-between ones. But because they are too insignificant in the story, and in political history, these are the ones who basically are important. Because the third son of Iltutmish, mentor is going to be Balban, who will lay Ulugh Khan, then he will basically kill his son and then come to power. So, if you can learn these following names, your job is already done. Slave dynasty, the name comes because Qutbuddin Aibak was a slave of Gori, but that name now does not really stand. Mostly you will find Mamluk dynasty written because they are Mamluk Turks. Khiljis have a very interesting concept. Khiljis are different because this is Turk plus Turk, meaning father is also Turk, mother is also Turk. Thereafter, Khilji is father is basically Afghan plus mother is a Turk. And Tughlaqs are even more interesting because father and mother, here father is a Jat noble. No, father is a Turk, mother is a Jat noble. So that is why they are different dynasties, have different combinations in that regard. So that is pure Mamluk Turks, then comes Afghan plus Turk, then comes Turk plus Jat. So we'll discuss that when we reach there. First, I've given you these names. Can we learn them prima facie? Can we learn them prima facie? Yes? Okay. Second thing, for God's sakes, stop asking me who is the son and brother and mother of whom. Because if I'll start to tell you that, you will faint. So stop making history into a seaside question. As it is, you're not able to manage the questions. So don't try to, who is the son-in-law? I don't talk about blood relations because that will complicate it. And by the time you'll figure it out, you've already lost a lot of time. So Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish is though the son-in-law. Then you will ask me, did not he have sons? Then why did Razia come? नहीं था बेटा मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. I really don't care. So you will ask me this: didn't Gori have sons? Why did he give it to Yalduz and Qutbuddin Aibak? But you go there and ask Gori why he did it. I don't care, because I will not complicate it as much as possible. The way there it is, we will keep it there only. Are we clear? Okay. Now, who is a Jat noble and all we will discuss later. Okay. Everything will be taught to you. First, understand. Prima facie means, again, prima facie, if you don't know, then what polity are you learning? Prima facie means on face value. Turks does not mean Turkey. Turk means Central Asian Turkish. Sadhna, this is your first, second class. Have you joined me today only? Because I'm asking very basic questions, which we already know about. Okay. Now, I've gave you the basic names. I've told you why it's called Delhi Sultanate. Now, I have to discuss with you a very interesting story. Blood relations tell in simple, sir. So, father ko mother bol do. How do you make blood relations simple? So, really, want to make it complicated? Be my guest. Now, this is the story of India. I'm telling you, कुआं है. There's a well there. Don't fall into it. नहीं, मैं गिर के देखूंगा. Curiosity. Once you will go there and then you will say, हाँ sir, कुआं तो था. That yes, there was a well there. I'm telling you, there's a cliff. Don't go there. No, out of curiosity, I want to go it. Amit, you do one thing. When next time I meet you, I'm meeting you, I'm giving you homework. No, I'm giving you homework. Give me the blood relation of all of these people. Who kills whom? Who is the son of whom? Which wife it is out of? Because there are multiple wives they can have. Which wife they are out of? You are going to tell me on 2nd January. So your curiosity will be rewarded. Please tell me, and you will write it down. You will type it, and I will give it to the class. That will be your contribution to the class itself. Okay. Now, anybody else wants this homework? Be my guest. Literally. You will do service to the nation by basically giving me this whole thing. Which wife, which son, what happened, who killed whom. Okay. Now, Qutbuddin Aibak never got the chance to consolidate the empire. He severed the ties, and then basically he laid the foundation, and whilst playing a sport, he died. Now, the successor of Qutbuddin Aibak was a very able administrator, his son-in-law, again a slave, Iltutmish. Now, Iltutmish will do a lot of things, but one contribution of the Delhi Sultans is never talked about. Delhi Sultanate, when I ask you, you will tell me about Alauddin Khilji, you will talk about Padmavat, you will talk about Malik Kafur because you have seen a standard movie. You will talk about a lot of things. A lot of things. If I ask you, they did this, they did that, then you will give me all that communalistic hatred. Standard, I know. But nobody talks about one very important contribution of Delhi Sultans. And that is the first thing I want to discuss with you. And that is protecting the Indian subcontinent throughout the 13th century from a major threat which was coming from the northwestern sector. And the threat name is Mongols. Starts with Genghis Khan, and all his successors always had an eye on the Indian subcontinent. Iltutmish is never talked about as a very good diplomat, neither Balban. But the story I'm going to tell you, you will realize how important Iltutmish was in the Indian subcontinent story. The fact that you and me speak whatever language we speak, the way we look, and the culture which we revere so much. The reason why everything in India is what it is today, unity in diversity, is because Iltutmish did something. And if he'd not done that, we would not have been speaking the same language itself. Language, culture, even race would have changed. Now comes the story. The story is that we know that there is the Khwarizmi dynasty. And UPSC has now made it a point to ask one question from this area every year. Past 2 years, back-to-back question has come from Mongol connection of Delhi Sultanate. Previously, I used to tell the story. Students did not used to care. But back-to-back 2 years, out of this exact story, questions are coming. Khwarizmi dynasty is here. It is now being ruled by a person called Jalaluddin. Thereafter, you have the Ghurid Empire under Yalduz. And as always, our de facto border is the Indus River. Across the Indus River, at Delhi, Iltutmish is sitting. This incident is of 1218. Now, in Central Asia, a very important invader is born. His name, Genghis Khan, whatever you want to call him. Genghis Khan is not a Chinese, he's a Mongol. Mongols are a tribe, have their own religion, and have their own understanding of polity and structures which are there rising from the Mongolian sector in between Central Asia. So they are not Chinese. Now, if you have any idea, 1% also idea of history, 1%, you would know who Genghis Khan is. And if you don't know who Genghis Khan is, he is the most brutal, monstrous invader of this world who at one point of time had an empire from the South China Sea till the Caspian Sea. So, from the Chinese sector, China, whole of Central Asia, and till Caspian Sea, touching till the Mediterranean, he had a very, very big empire. But what Genghis Khan is known for is not the empire, is his brutality. Genghis Khan always killed the ruler, that was his ego. All men were executed, all children were abducted, all women were raped. It is believed that close to 1/3 of the population of the world has one gene strand out of Genghis Khan. Some way or the other, 1/3 of the population of the world is connected to Genghis Khan and his children. He did not care about the religion. He did not care about the women. He did not care about anything. When he enters, he destroys everything. He pushes his own. And that is what Genghis Khan is known for. This invader had been running rampage throughout the Chinese to the Caspian Sea sector. And now he turns his attention towards the what we call as Indian subcontinent and South Asian sector. South Asian sector. How 1/3 population is his children? Now I think biology teacher. I'm not there, but somehow 1/3 population from the Mongolian sector to the Chinese is connected to him. If you think Hitler is a monster, he is 100 Hitlers together. So out of syllabus question, how is that his children are connected to him? Gene strand. It's basically genetics. Okay. Now, Khwarizmi dynasty, he enters this sector. Now, this fool called Jalaluddin, as soon as Genghis Khan enters the Khwarizmi dynasty, this fool starts to run. And rather going towards the west, he enters the Ghuridian Empire. Because he knew that if Genghis Khan has come, as it is, there's no chance he's going to win. And he knew that the king is going to be killed. So he was the king. Now what he did was, Genghis Khan had no real plans to come towards the Ghuridian Empire, Yalduz. But basically, Genghis Khan now took it upon his ego that how can it be that this ruler can run away from me? So what Genghis Khan does is, he enters this sector, destroys the Khwarizmi dynasty, and now starts to pursue Jalaluddin. In this process, Yalduz gets killed, the Ghuridian Empire is destroyed, but Jalaluddin is able to somehow cross the Indus River. And now he enters the Indian subcontinent. Genghis Khan gets to know that Yalduz is dead, but Jalaluddin is alive. And he now reaches the Indus River. Now, this is a very decisive moment for Indian history, which is 1218. Genghis Khan sitting on the Indus River. And it is decisive because if Genghis Khan crosses this river, he would find the Indian subcontinent with its wealth, its culture, too enticing. And Genghis Khan would not have stopped here. He would have run rampage throughout the Indian sector. Now, Iltutmish gets to know that Yalduz is killed and this fool Jalaluddin has crossed the Indus. And Iltutmish knew that if he crosses, there's no Delhi Sultanate. And he's the one who first gets killed. So, he moves to the Indus very quickly, very, very quickly. And as soon as he moves to the Indus River, he makes sure one thing, Before Genghis Khan could come and cross the Indus, he crossed the Indus. Rather than allowing him to cross the Indus, he crossed the Indus and met Genghis Khan on the other side. And to Genghis Khan, he very simply says, and this is his diplomatic skills, he knew that Jalaluddin had crossed the river itself and he was now running through the Rajasthan sector. Iltutmish knew that Genghis Khan needed to be appeased. So Iltutmish, as soon as he reaches the Indus, he says to Genghis Khan that what is the mighty Genghis Khan doing on the Indus? So Genghis Khan says, who are you? So he says that I have a very small sultanate in Delhi. Think of me like your brother, your slave. I basically rule Delhi in your name only. And you tell me what you want, I will be happy to give it to you. Why would you physically strain yourself and come into India? So Genghis Khan says that it is Jalaluddin, a ruler of the Khwarizmi dynasty. He's come into the Indian subcontinent. I want to kill him because that is my pride, that is my ego. I have to kill him. So Iltutmish says to Genghis Khan, and all documented, this whole history is documented, says to Genghis Khan that let me find it. Let me find him. मैं नाचीज ढूंढ दूंगा. Why would you, the mighty Genghis Khan, walk on your feet and enter Indus River? And why would you cross the Indus River? I'll find him and kill him for you. I'll bring him to you and I'll kill him. Now, Genghis Khan liked the different hospitality, liked the fruits, liked the gifts, and he liked Iltutmish's appeasement policy. Now, Genghis Khan sets camp on the Indus River, in the Indus River in front of him. And now he waits. Now Iltutmish has a dilemma. If Iltutmish gives Jalaluddin to Genghis Khan, now Genghis Khan will say, I would want to go to Delhi. And when he reaches Delhi, he would see the lavishes of India, the wealth of India, and there's a very good chance he would not go back. And on the other hand, Iltutmish has to do a drama so that he does not cross the Indus. So though Iltutmish had caught Jalaluddin, for 3 months he did a drama. 3 months. Every 3 days used to go to the Indus, say, we have spotted him somewhere, we've spotted him somewhere, he's there. He kept on doing this for 3 months. Every 2 to 3 days used to go and appease Genghis Khan, giving him updates, whilst Jalaluddin was already in the captivity of Iltutmish. And what Iltutmish was doing was buying time. He knew that he is sitting very far away from his own capital, Genghis Khan, and something would happen if such a big ruler is sitting outside his main area. And it is here that Iltutmish was buying time for the Indian subcontinent. And by chance, fortunately for India, after 3 months of sitting here, Iltutmish was just delaying everything. Genghis Khan gets to know about a rebellion in his Caspian Sea sector. And now Iltutmish basically says to Genghis Khan, you go and manage your rebellion. I will kill Jalaluddin for you. And basically, this is considered the first averted Mongolian invasion of India. If Iltutmish had not appeased Genghis Khan through his diplomatic skills, Genghis Khan would have entered into India, and that would have only meant disaster and destruction beyond exception. This is where the Mongol connection or the Mongol threat starts with regards to the Delhi Sultanate. It is not Iltutmish, but next 4 rulers who will manage this threat and mitigate it. The simple point is, if he takes Jalaluddin to Genghis Khan, his task is done. Genghis Khan becomes curious to come to India. He has to basically keep him there. And if he gives Jalaluddin to Genghis Khan would then say, okay, I would like to go to Delhi. And then he does not turn back. He has to make sure he does not cross the Indus. Jalaluddin will be later executed by Iltutmish. The simple point is, nobody talks about this history, but UPSC has now started to ask questions out of this area. The single-handed most important contribution of Delhi Sultans was that they protected the Indian subcontinent from the Mongols. Because the story starts in 1218 with Genghis Khan himself. And he is faced by Iltutmish. Thereafter, 1227, Genghis Khan dies. And I'm giving you the whole Mongol history on one slide so that you understand it, and it's in one slide itself. Dies. And in this period, Mongols are in chaos. And the Mongolian tradition is that they divide the empire amongst their sons. And Genghis Khan has too many sons. So there's a lot of chaos at this point of time. But there's a renewed attempt in the 1241 period. 1241 period, two sons of Genghis Khan, Ter Bahadur and Halaku. The two Mongols who were sitting in the northwestern sector, they were basically responsible for this area. And both of them did have territorial ambition to come to India. It is Balban who basically mitigated both Ter Bahadur and Halaku. And Balban never used to go too far away from Delhi. Only one expedition to Bengal, because he knew that if he goes too far away from Delhi, it could be that Ter Bahadur and Halaku could cross the Indus. He never went off to Delhi, very far away from Delhi, and always used to meet both of them from time to time and keep them happy. Both Iltutmish and Balban diplomatically made sure that Genghis Khan and Ter Bahadur and Halaku don't cross the Indus. But the first real threat India saw was in 1292. First, Halaku. The first proper threat came from a person called Abdullah. He's again a Mongol, the successor of Halaku, and he attacked the Indian subcontinent and crossed the river. And it will be Jalaluddin Khilji who will fight and defeat Abdullah and avert the first proper invasion of the Mongols. Thereafter, in 1297, the successors of Abdullah, named Dawa Khan and Qutb Khwaja, again attacked, and here again it was Alauddin Khilji who basically defeated and checked them. There is, you have to learn this. Obviously, you need to know their names. These are coming in the examination. 2023, one question came. 2022, one question came. One question came from the Jalaluddin story. One question came from the Jalaluddin story and Iltutmish story. One came from the fourth point, which I'm going to tell you, which is Tarmashirin. Now, the only Mongol which entered India, his name is Tarmashirin. Tarmashirin was faced by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and this fool, he defeated and reached near the Delhi borders. The Delhi borders. And basically, this is the whole engagement. Except for Tarmashirin, no one else was ever able to cross or reach even Delhi. This is a standard question which is coming. I'll show you the question. That doesn't really matter right now. What you have to concentrate is knowing which Delhi Sultanate ruler faced which Mongol. Was Bahadur successor of Khan? Vijay, I don't know what you mean by that. You're meaning Ter Bahadur, successor of Genghis Khan? Yes. What are those questions which are in previous years from this topic? Noted. How you remember such names? How you remember my name? Easy hai. Tarmashirin, Ter Bahadur, Halaku, Abdullah, Dawa Khan, Qutb Khwaja. When you can remember Mahendra Varman 1, Narsim Varman 1, Mahamala, Narsim Varman 2, Raj Simha, then what's the problem in learning this? Why do you close your mind? He just killed the ruler only for pride. Acquired the territory also. See, this slide alone is giving you 4 to 5 marks in the examination. How do you learn it? With interest. How do you learn it? With revision. If you want to learn it, sure. The simple point is the Mongol connection or the Mongol threat is a very standard thing which Delhi Sultanate rulers faced, but nobody actually talks about this contribution of any of these rulers. The single-handed reason why India is India today, the single-handed reason why we have multiple religions and multiple dynasties, multiple identities in India is because of this. You want to not acknowledge it, sure, but this remains a very important Delhi Sultanate contribution which nobody is going to talk about. It is the Delhi Sultans, you like it or you don't like it, who actually made sure that the Mongols never reached India. And the Mongols reaching India would have been only disastrous and in a way very, very dangerous for the Indian subcontinent in a generic fashion altogether. What I've done is I've done one part of the story and removed it. Now I want to go to the basic political story and other contributions of Iltutmish and these people. Last one is Timur has nothing to do. Timur and Genghis Khan are different. Though they come from the same Tamanna Khan, they are different. Timur is 1398. We will discuss that. How did Genghis Khan die? Old age. Sir, did the... Okay. Now, I give you a 5-minute breather here. because I again want you to be again on your feet. Importance of Tarmashirin, the only one who reached India until Delhi. What would happen? Did they enter Delhi? Sir, what happened next? Did he enter Delhi? No, he went back. UPSC will. Some say UPSC will remove Mughal part in history. जिस दिन हटा देगा पढ़ना छोड़ देंगे. अभी नहीं हटा ना. When they remove it, I'll stop teaching you. I really don't care. So either you're waiting for that day to come, that has not come right now. Okay. Tarmashirin reached the borders of Delhi, yes. Mamluk, Khilji, Tughlaq dynasty ruled at the same time. No, they're successors of each other. Are we all clear about the basic thing here? I will discuss Iltutmish, Balban, Khiljis and others differently. I'm just telling you that this is the backstory. And this is where the constant pressure on the northwestern sector was there, which will also dictate a lot of the policy decisions which will be taken. Are other like Cholas, Palas still there as polity? Again, Aditya, then you forgot what happened yesterday. Ghazni effect proper. Okay. Did Jalaluddin was killed by Genghis Khan or not? No. He was later killed by Iltutmish. Story easy to understand, but characters are making it hard to identify and remember. So, story easy to remember, then just remember the names. That's it. I'm telling you, neither Genghis Khan, Tair Bahadur, Halakut, Abdullah, Dawa Khan, Kutluk Khwaja. None of them came, they all attacked India in a way, but never crossed the Indus. Only Tarmashirin crossed it. Iltutmish, Balban, Jalaluddin, Alauddin, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq are the ones who are involved. Then, can I give you a simple breather here? 1326, Tarmashirin entered. Muhammad bin Tughlaq did not manage it well, and he was defeated twice, and then he had to retreat back to Delhi. On the border of Delhi, he was able to push him back, but he entered the Indian subcontinent for sure. Dotted line means above them nobody entered, only Tarmashirin entered. So it's what, 6-6. We come back at 6-11 and we take the story forward. Now I have to discuss the political history. Was Genghis Khan killed by Iltutmish? No. Genghis Khan went back to Caspian Sea, died later. Okay. Now let's talk about Iltutmish. Now what I'm doing with you is now called political history. Political history is basically where need to know major contributions. Tarmashirin did not conquer Delhi. He was not able to conquer Delhi. He reached Delhi, border of Delhi. Muhammad bin Tughlaq pushed him back. But in a way, he lost twice. Now, Iltutmish first was evaded the threat of Genghis Khan. Second is that he did two very interesting and more important things. He started to consolidate and expand the empire beyond Delhi. He introduced the Ikta system into India. Now, what is Ikta system? This you have to wait for, because this is a 1.5 hour discussion which we'll have on Tuesday, because Ikta is a very important part, administrative history afterwards. And if I see an opportunity today, I'll do it today also. But Ikta is a very, very important discussion, and I want to have a flow, because Ikta, Nayankara, Mansabdari, all three are connected to each other, or are rather very simple, similar replicas of them. And therefore, Iqta needs to be known in a sequence. And the most important thing is, he also introduced the Chahalgani or Dal Chalisa system. Now, nothing other than what you learned about Ebal. Now, there's a story called Alibaba and Kitne. How many thieves? Alibaba or Chalis Chor, or Alibaba and 40 thieves. Now, this 40 number is very, very important when it comes to Turks. Genghis Khan again ka same person. Now, what Iltutmish does is, he introduces an old Turkish model of what is called as 40 nobles to assist the Sultan. So basically, the Sultan has a council of minister which is 40. That's why it's called Chahal Gani 40 or Dal Chalisa which is 40. So basically the concept is how we have today the prime minister, which is basically Sultan, and we have COM, this is 40 nobles. And the concept is also the same, wherein the prime minister is the first among equals, and the same way in the council of ministers, this whole system works on the fact that Sultan is first among equals, and Iltutmish was very, very clear and very, very sure about his authority, and therefore he was able to introduce this concept. And Iltutmish, the power of the Sultan was extremely high. Now, for a system like this, where you have the Sultan plus 40 nobles, for the stability of the empire, what is the prerequisite? For stability of empire, what is the prerequisite? Vis-a-vis power dynamics, what is the prerequisite? The prerequisite would be that Sultan's power should always be more than the Chahalgani. Then only the empire will remain stable. Now, Iltutmish introduced these four basic concepts. He did one more thing. He introduced two coins into India. One is called Tanka, which is a silver coin, and introduced Jittal, which is basically a copper coin. The word Pital comes from this Jittal. Jittal is basically the copper coin. Tanka is a silver coin. What is centralized and all we'll discuss, because Iqta, I have to explain that to you. It's a centralized, decentralized system. We will see. So Iltutmish that way has introduced a lot of things, from Iqta to Chahalgani to two coins, and introducing the Chahalgani system was something which he understood as an old tradition which was important. But as I told you, Iltutmish's responsibility was to make sure that his power always remains higher. Are we all clear about this? Because then I talk about Razia, from where the things become interesting. Are we clear about this? All of this? Okay, perfect. Now, Iltutmish had 3 sons and 1 daughter. One son is a minor, basically very, very young. And out of the 3 left, 2 sons and a daughter. Both his sons were drunkards. Used to drink too much Afim, too much intoxication, both useless, literally useless. And that is why Iltutmish, Iltutmish nominated that after him, his daughter, his daughter should be the Sultan. In that sense, Iltutmish was quite open-minded, and Iltutmish knew, and Razia was a very able administrator, very good in military tactics, and she knew statecraft. She knew statecraft very well. Adult cell, why not? Because all of them were useless. Now, Razia was nominated, but the Chahalgani did not like Razia patriarchy, wherein 40 men did not want to be ruled by one woman. And herein, the power of the Sultan starts to fall, because the Chahalgani starts to undercut the Sultan's power very actively. Very actively. Because Razia, when she was nominated by her father, she gave up all forms of parda. She used to sit with proper male attire. She used to sit as a Sultan. She used to go hunting. She used to lead into warfare also. And in that regard, she was very well versed with how to deal with things. She introduced merit-based understanding. The simple point was that all appointments were merit-based. No Chahalgani was getting a favor. So very simply, Razia proved that she was worthy of being a Sultan. But the Chahalgani was not ready. The Chahalgani was not ready to follow a woman. And one of the few women powerful personalities, Razia, was a victim of all standard patriarchal misogynistic politics. And her downfall will come in the same way, because there will be two major rebellions under her. One is going to be in the Lahore sector, and the other one in the Sirhind sector. And while the Lahore one she will be able to properly manage, in Sirhind what will happen is that already the way Razia was portrayed was that she had fallen in love with her noble, or the in charge of stables, and an Abyssinian called Yakut. But that is again not true. But when she will go to quench or fight with the Sirhind governor, on her way back, she will be caught by a person called Altunia, who had been given money by the Chalgani to capture Razia. Yakut, her most important noble, very able-bodied, in a way you can believe that she trusted him the most, he was killed, and Razia was taken hostage by Altunia. But Razia knew that he had to somehow reach Delhi so as to regain power. She will do a drama of marrying Altunia, and once she will marry Altunia, she will then murder Altunia later, and then do a renewed attempt on Delhi. But she'll be caught on the outskirts of Delhi by bandits, which again are nothing but thugs, dickheads, and will be killed outside Delhi itself, again on the directions of the Chehalgani. Razia still today remains the only Delhi Sultan who is not buried in the Qutb complex. From Iltutmish to Alauddin Khilji to all the first 8 are there except for Razia. Razia was never accepted as a very, very, very important ruler or a ruler itself. And the Chahalgani had now gone out of hand, or the Dal Chalisa had now gone out of hand. And very simply, Razia became the victim of standard misogynistic politics of patriarchy. Something which some of you may also have been a victim of, or are a victim of, or will be a victim of. So remember, all the women in the class, there will always be a Chalgani who will keep you down or try to keep you down. So you have to, as Razia fought, have to fight. But Razia's story, unfortunately, was that she could have been and would be a very, very good ruler, but undercut by her own nobles, something which his father introduced, which her father introduced. And therefore, the reason why Iltutmish in a way is also responsible for the downfall of Razia is because he made sure that Chalgani was introduced, which will destroy the power of the Sultan. And therefore, once Razia will die, Razia will die. Now will come the successor of Razia, who is the minor son, the very minor son, very, very young son of the of Iltutmish, which is who going to have a mentor called Ulugh Khan, and Ulugh Khan will wait for the right time to kill the last son of Iltutmish, to capture power, and then he will take the title of Balban. Balban basically has nothing to do with Iltutmish's family. Balban, original name Ulugh Khan, was basically the mentor, the tutor of the youngest son of Iltutmish, and he will now set out to do something. Are we clear about Razia? I'll read out the story in the PPT, so don't worry. Everything in the PPT, everything what I'm telling you is written in the PPT also. We'll read it out for reinforcement. Can I tell you about Balban? Because Balban is quite important, like Iltutmish. Yes, all political history going on right now. Now, Balban, when he came to power, Sultan's power was extremely low to the Chahalgani. Now, other than managing the Mongol threat in the form of Ter Bahadur and Halaku, he managed it via diplomacy. His most important role was that he will realize that having an army and an in charge of army is important. That is why he will appoint what is called the Diwan-e-Ariz, which is the military department will be established properly. Rather than keeping it with the Chalgani, he'll create a separate department itself. And thereafter, Balban will change the course of how he managed the Chalgani. That we'll discuss after the break, because it's a long story. Then it will become 7 o'clock. So we take a break here. We'll come back by what? 6:45 and take the story forward. I'll leave you here. 6:45, 45:50. We'll take the story forward. Right? That's a long story. Good I thought we would have to. Actually, some issue we had. Manage the wherein he had to make sure that the Chahalgani breaks. The Chahalgani, he had to break the Chahalgani properly, because breaking the Chahalgani was very, very important in his grander scheme of things. Because if he is Sultan, he cannot survive properly if the Chahalgani does not break. And therefore, the way Balban broke the Chahalgani is quite interesting. Because of this gap, I know, sorry for the technical issue. Because of this gap, we can just revise what we've done till this point. Since the beginning of the class, I've told you that he is quite important. That is, who is important? Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak severed the ties with Central Asia, which in turn led to the establishment of Delhi Sultanate. I have told you that after him, all successors had a problem with the Mongols, specifically Iltutmish, Balban, Alauddin Khilji, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And more than that, we have seen that Iltutmish establishes a concept called Chahalgani. Chahalgani backfires on Iltutmish, not on Iltutmish, but his successor Razia. Two sons, both useless, or Razia comes through. Now, when the accession of Balban happens, when Balban captures power, he has the first major task to make sure that Ter Bahadur and Halaku don't do anything. At the same point of time, Chahalgani needs to be broken down if he has to keep the Sultanate power high. Now, how Balban destroys is very, very interesting. So, can we again go into that flow? I'm sorry, we went for a break. We should have come back by 50, but it took me 20 minutes to figure out in the issue which we had. We were not able to go live, or rather, I was not able to come out. There was a video issue. Okay. Now, when we talk about Balban did three things. First, he created a story. And the story, he said that I am the descendant of Afrasiab. He is a legendary king of Iran. And this would be equivalent to say that I am the descendant of Ashoka. That I am exactly 5 generations down Ashoka. Therefore, I'm linking myself with a very big king, with a very legendary king of that sector, saying that I am the true Turk. I am the true Turk. Thereafter, he also talked about something called divine power of the king, of the Sultan, wherein he took the title Zilallah. Zilallah means that he is the shadow of God on earth. He said that he is no less than the shadow of Allah, Zilallah. And therefore, he is creating an inflated picture. He has nothing like this, not even close to the A of Afrasiab, and not even close to being shadow of God. He's just creating a very big story behind him so that he can now undercut the Chahalgani. Thereafter, he now starts to break the Chahalgani very systematically, first by introducing what is called Sijda and Byjus. These are Iranian traditions which basically are related to how you meet and greet the king. So Sijda is that you go and kiss the feet of the king, his hands, and thereafter you do a proper salutation to him. Second is Byjus. Byjus is that you never show your back to the king. You always go back the way you came. And Sijda Byjus were to show the Chahalgani what their position was. Unki औकात दिखानी है उनको. That you are Chahalgani, I am the Sultan. So don't act smart the way you act smart. I am the Sultan, you have to do Sijda and Paibos in my court, and you have to do Sijda, Paibos, and have to show respect to the Sultan. Then Balban also had a very interesting strategy wherein any punishment to the king or to this Chahalgani noble, was also given to their family. So if Balban says that this person should get 50 lashes, 50 kode marna hai, so the whole family was brought and everybody got 50 lashes. So as to again create a certain type of aura where he can destroy everything. And last but not the least, Balban started to remove non-pure Turks from the Chahalgani. Meaning Afghans, Afghan plus Turk, Irani, Turani, all are being removed. And in this removal, there will be removal of the Khiljis. Khiljis will be removed, saying that the Khiljis are not pure born, and they should be removed. So the Khiljis will take it to their heart that how are they removed from the Chahalgani. But Balban will say no Indian Muslims, and this is called the policy of blood and iron. I do not want anybody in my empire other than a pure Turk. Now this is how Balban restores the power of the Sultan back. By punishing the Chahalgani, by making them do traditions which was demeaning to the Chahalgani, by removing certain elements itself, and also talking about his very legendary background. Now, till Balban is alive, Ter Bahadur Halaku remain in control. He restores the power back, does not go too far away from any of the Delhi sector because he knew that it would lead to problems. The fact of the matter is that he was able to restore the Sultanate to its past glory, which was there under Iltutmish. Again, these are the points which in some way or the other you will find in the examination. Iltutmish, Balban, expander, consolidator. If this is clear, I would like to go towards the Khilji. Can we talk about Khiljis? Why is he was opposed to Chahalgani? Because not because what they did to Razia. Chahalgani started to basically do everything to him also. They started to say Razia did this, you should also did it. Basically, when your nobles, when your council of ministers becomes too powerful, then you have to undercut. Now, Balban is succeeded by his son, minor son. But the Khiljis had actually taken offense to the fact that how were they removed. And the Khiljis, that was policy of blood and iron, is Balban's concept of only pure Turks being in the Chahalgani, removing everyone. Now, Khiljis had already taken offense to the fact that Balban had removed them from the Chahalgani, and Alauddin Khilji will kill the minor son of Balban to capture power. Now, this is called the Khilji revolution. It's called a Khilji revolution because for the first time Afghan plus Turk lineage comes through and the Mamluk Turk identity now fades away. Alauddin Khilji was preceded by a king known to destroy Nalanda, Vikramshila, and the whole eastern sector, which is Bakhtiyar Khilji. Bakhtiyar Khilji was the governor of Bengal at this point of time, but later will die and will be succeeded by very, very weak Khiljis. But Khiljis always remained within the Chahalgani. Alauddin Khilji captures power, and he has now created a new empire, a new dynasty within the Delhi Sultanate. Now, Jalaluddin Khilji's most important task was in 1292, Abdullah will take it on his heart to now make sure that he captures India as what his successors had not done. So, Tayyar Bahadur Halaku or Genghis Khan never crossed the Indus. Abdullah basically properly attacked the Indian subcontinent, and Jalaluddin Khilji will fight Abdullah and defeat Abdullah and check the entry of the Khiljis in that regard. Check the entries of the Mongols in that regard. Mongols will not be able to enter from that sector. But Jalaluddin Khilji was not very aggressive when it comes to his politics, tolerant also quite a lot. But he was not like his own nephew, and the nephew was Alauddin or Alauddin Khilji. Now, Alauddin Khilji was very ambitious, thought that Jalaluddin Khilji was not that, his uncle was not that, not actually very, very ambitious in that regard. And Alauddin Khilji, after Jalaluddin Khilji is able to stabilize the Khilji rule, now hatches a plan to understand and make sure that he is able to now capture power. Now, there's a certain image which is there in your mind with regards to Alauddin capturing power because of a certain movie. That is not how Alauddin actually captured power. Alauddin was much more meticulous in making sure that Jalaluddin Khilji was captured. Now, how did Jalaluddin or how did Alauddin capture power? Can I tell you that story? And then we move to Alauddin. Yes? Okay. Now, what you have seen is that he kills him or cuts his throat. Not that way. See, the story goes that Alauddin was coming from Bengal after winning the Bengal sector, has a lot of loot with him. And Jalaluddin was sitting at Delhi. So Alauddin sends a message to Jalaluddin that you should come near this Agra Mathura sector, and he would like to talk to Jalaluddin about something very urgent and distribute the war collected booty also to everybody. Now Jalaluddin and Alauddin meet on the banks of the river, one of the tributaries of the Ganga, so we'll call it the Ganga itself. Now, Alauddin says to Jalaluddin that I would like to have a conversation with you, but in private. He has a small army with him, and he has a much bigger army with him after coming back from Bengal. Now, Alauddin very simply says to Jalaluddin that I don't want to talk in front of the nobles. Let's do one thing. Let's take a boat and go into the waters, and we'll talk in the middle of the Ganga itself. Jalaluddin said, okay, no issues. And both board this boat and go towards the middle of the river. Here, Alauddin takes out his knife and kills his uncle through multiple stabbings. And slowly but surely, the boat comes back. And now Alauddin says to anybody who was a Jalaluddin, what we call as a sympathizer, that do you have a problem with what happened in between the river? Some people say yes. He brings them, he stabs them also. Thereafter, he again asks, do you have a problem with what happened in front of the river? Again, some people say, yes, we have a problem. We can't let you happen this. He takes the knife and he stabs them also. Third time he asks, do you have a problem with what I did? Then nobody says nothing. And he will pay off the nobles of Jalaluddin and capture power and become Alauddin Khilji, the Sultan. Now, Alauddin Khilji and Bakhtiyar Khilji are not the same. Obviously, naam alag alag hai. Bakhtiyar Khilji, Alauddin Khilji. The periods are different. How can I be saying Alauddin and it is coming out as Bakhtiyar Khilji? Can't be that. Simple story. Jalaluddin is killed by Alauddin and power is captured. And in a way, that in turn leads to the usurping of power by Alauddin. Now, about Alauddin, there are two very important things. Alauddin, we already know, is the one who kept Qutb Khwaja and Qutb Khwaja and yes, good, Dawa Khan in check. And for that, not Fawa Khan, Dawa Khan in check. And Alauddin, for that, had a very big standing army. For which he had to do market reforms, which we'll talk about separately. But there's again a myth about a person called Malik Kafur. Who is Malik Kafur? Based on popular imagination, do you remember who is Malik Kafur? Is one of his generals. But in the forementioned movie, he is shown as a homosexual, but he isn't. Malik Kafur was a eunuch, third gender, and it is believed that the way the movie portrayed, or in popular imagination, Malik Kafur is shown speaking in that type of tone which you remember. Malik Kafur was a very, very feared general. People used to shake when they got to know that Malik Kafur had actually come into the room. So Malik Kafur is a very, very, very strong personality, and within the Alauddin army, they were able to reach till Kanchipuram because of the general skills of Malik Kafur. So Alauddin's basic most important contribution is the expansion of the Delhi Sultanate beyond the northern sector to go towards the Deccan, and in certain areas they were also able to reach till Tamil Nadu. Now, Alauddin Khilji market reforms, why he needed a big army, I'll do separately. So you can see I'm doing bigger chunks which are more important separately. Today is about the political history. Now, Alauddin Khilji is then succeeded by standard weak rulers, and there's a whole set of weak rulers in that regard. I'll give you the names also, 1 second. Everything is, I will read this out to you. You have Qutbuddin Mubarak Shah and Nasruddin Khusrav Shah. Nasruddin Khusrav Shah will be killed by a very, very interesting personality. His name, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. And Tughlaqs have a very interesting history. Because Tughlaqs had their lineage half in India itself. The father of the Tughlaqs was a Turkish noble, and he was married to a Jat noble who had been inducted during the Khilji period, and his daughter. So the mother was a Jat community, the Jat community. So the Tughlaqs, now you can see how they are becoming more and more a part of the Indian subcontinent than what we think. Now, Tughlaqs, there are three rulers which are known. One is called Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. The second one is called Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Third is called Firoz Shah Tughlaq. And thereafter, there are last Tughlaq is called Mahmud Tughlaq, who is going to basically face the brunt of Timur. Now, Tughlaqs. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq is remembered for two things. He did not need to fight the Mongols. But Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq had a conflict with a very, very interesting personality of Delhi itself. And the name of that personality is a person called, anybody knows? Nizamuddin Auliya. Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya. Now, Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya is a Chishti Sufi. Sufism is the last module we do. We'll discuss that. Sufis are basically the Bhakti movement of Islam is called Sufism. And Sufis give alternative paths. And the Khanka of Nizamuddin Auliya was in where the whole Nizamuddin area of Delhi is today. So what you call as Nizamuddin, that is named after Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya. If you know that the whole Bajrangi Bhaijaan movie is based on the pretext that the mother of that child came to Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya's dargah. Right? So Nizamuddin Auliya is not just known in India, he's known across the world, specifically Punjab, Afghanistan, the whole of Pakistan sector, Afghanistan sector, very well revered personality. Now, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq had a problem with Nizamuddin Auliya, who used to sit there. Can't understand what you are saying, sir. What is the aspect which you're not able to understand? Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, I am saying Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Then I am saying a Sufi saint. Sufi saint means a saint of within Islam who have an alternative path. They have Qawwali. They are the Bhakti movement within Islam. I will teach you Sufism properly. Just think of them as Sufi saints. Saints meaning he is just like an ascetic monk within Islam itself. Thereafter, the simple point is I am telling you that Sufi is Nizamuddin Auliya itself. Nizamuddin Auliya is known across the world itself. So, Sufism is not part of Islam. No, Sufism is part of Islam. Sufism does not reject Islam. Sufism is an alternative path within Islam towards Allah. But again, we don't do that right now. Last module of medieval is Sufism, Bhaktism. I will teach you that. Don't worry about it. I will teach you that. Simple point is there's a personality called Nizamuddin Auliya, Sufi saint. Saint, he is basically a Baba. Can you accept that, Karaku? Can't understand what you're saying. Difference between Alauddin Khilji, Bakhtiyar Khilji. Again, Sachin caught up there only. Bakhtiyar Khilji came with Qutbuddin Aibak, took the Bengal sector, burnt a lot of universities. Alauddin Khilji is a ruler. Now, Auliya, he was very, very famous with the, and he's not the first Sufi saint. There is Moinuddin Chishti, Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, Baba Farid, and Baba Farid's student is Nizamuddin Auliya. Nizamuddin Auliya's student is Nasruddin Chirag Dehlavi, after which the Chirag Delhi area is actually named. Now, what I want to say to you is that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq is very simply a personality who did not like how Nizamuddin Auliya was so famous with the people. So there are stories that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq used to abuse Nizamuddin Auliya, saying that bastard is living in Delhi. He is undercutting my power. There is also a story that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was developing a fort. It's called the Tughlaqabad Fort. Tughlaqabad Fort, there's again a story that the workers were asked to work day and night. But there was not enough oil to work in the night. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq had said that if the work that stops in the night, he would kill all the workers. So it is believed that the workers went to Nizamuddin Auliya and said that Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq is going to kill us if we will stop in the night, but we don't have oil to work, and with that lamps in the night, what do we do? So it is believed that one of the miracles of Nizamuddin Auliya, again fables and stories, was that he said that you pour water into the lamps, it will burn throughout the night. It is believed that it burnt also. True or not? Not a mine. But when Tughlaqabad fort was reaching its completion, and this is the most interesting thing, has come in certain state PCS examinations. When it was reaching its culmination, what happened was that when Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was now going towards Gujarat. So before he was going to Gujarat, he sent a letter to Nizamuddin Auliya. And what he said to Nizamuddin Auliya was that when I come back from Gujarat, Tughlaqabad fort will be complete. The moment I enter into the Tughlaqabad fort, either you will be alive or I will be alive. If I come back, I will kill you for sure. And if you run away, I will spare you. So Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq goes to the Gujarat sector and is 30-40 kilometers away from Delhi. And when he's 30-40 kilometers away from Delhi, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq sends a message to Nizamuddin Auliya that I'm 30-40 kilometers away from Delhi. You should be gone, and if not, I will come and kill you. Either you are alive or I am alive. And here Nizamuddin Auliya says a very important line, which is still today remembered, which is called Dilli Durast. Ki abhi Dilli dur hai. That Delhi is still far away. And it is believed that as soon as Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq entered into the main gate of, or the gate which was assigned to him to enter the Tughlaqabad fort, the elephant on which he was coming is going to get stuck in the gate itself, and the roof of the gate will fall on Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq and he will die. So on the Chowkhat of Delhi, on the Dehleej of Delhi, on the gate of Delhi itself, he said either you will be alive or I will be alive. And Nizamuddin Auliya was alive. This is the story. This is called the curse of Nizamuddin Auliya. Now, you believe in it or don't believe in it, it's a separate story altogether. But there is an alternative explanation which is more plausible. The alternative explanation is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq's son, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, was extremely excited to come to power. He could not wait for his father to die. So it is believed that Muhammad bin Tughlaq used to sit in the court, in the Khanka of Nizamuddin Auliya. And this gate had been specifically designed by Muhammad bin Tughlaq that if when his father enters, he dies before entering Tughlaqabad itself. So one conspiracy theory is that this gate was designed by Muhammad bin Tughlaq in such a way that his father dies when he enters. The other one is that Nizamuddin Auliya ka shrap, the curse of Nizamuddin Auliya, which in turn would basically kill Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Basically, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq is not known for what he did really, but for what Nizamuddin Auliya did to him, which is the more interesting aspect here. Now, Muhammad bin Tughlaq is called the Mad King. The Mad King in the sense that he actually did certain things which were quite ahead of their time, and he did not really do justice to any of it. There are 4 experiments which I will again discuss with you in quite a lot of detail, but I'll tell you basically. One is shifting the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, which is Devgiri. Second was that he introduced something called token currency. Then third was that he went for an expedition called Karachil expedition and Khurasan expedition. The simple point was Muhammad bin Tughlaq wasted a lot of money of the Delhi Sultanate, and he's also the one, for the same reason, not able to keep out Tarmashirin. Tarmashirin entered into India and reached till Delhi in a way, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq was not very capable in managing that threat in that regard. He will be then succeeded by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, And Firoz Shah Tughlaq had already started to see the empire declining. And the biggest issue with Firoz Shah Tughlaq was that Firoz Shah Tughlaq was developing new cities. The 3 cities he will establish. They will try to revive agriculture, but the Delhi Sultanate had now started to decline in the way it will, and Mahmud Tughlaq, the last ruler, will then see a new invader coming in, and that invader will be called Timur. Timur is not a Mongol, but Genghis Khan and Timur basically come from the same lineage. Tamannya Khan was the great 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 grandfather of Genghis Khan, and one mother he had 2 wives. One wife was Mongol, the other wife was a Timurid. One wife he has Genghis Khan, one wife he has the Genghis Khan lineage, the other wife he has the Timurid lineage, but there's a difference, time gap of at least 600 years between these two. So very simply, Timur will come and establish the Sayyids, which is a story for later, which is called pre-Mughal dynasties. Now, I know that this story may not make sense to you. I want to read this story out to you so that it makes sense, and then we can discuss maybe Ikta in that regard. Who destroyed Nalanda? Bakhtiyar Khilji. That is a very established fact. Everybody it is written. This is the story of these rulers. Whatever I've told you is the most important contribution. I will read out to you. I will mark it. What you have to remember from political history. If I can do that, can I start? Right? Okay. Now, let's start from Vivek. You've been asking questions without asking me. Can I ask a question? So fire away. Okay. So you have Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, Razia, Ghiyasuddin Balban, and his successor, last successor, Kekubad. Kekubad will be killed by Alauddin Khilji. Now, Qutbuddin Aibak between 1206 and 1210, he played an important role in expansion of the Turkish Sultanate, and he will be the one who will not like how Yalduz was asserting his power, and therefore he will break off from Yalduz, and in 1210 he will die whilst playing polo. When Qutbuddin Aibak died, he was the empire was only this much. Empire was only this much. Razia was betrayed or not by Yalduz. Abhi Yalduz idhar likha hai. You are mixing Yalduz and Yakut. Yakut, Yalduz different, Vivek. You are mixing. Was he betrayed by Yakut or not is of no purpose to me. Was he betrayed by her lover or not? I don't care about that. First thing. And second thing is, you're mixing up the two names. Yakut and Yalduz. Yakut is related to Razia. Yalduz is related to Qutbuddin Aibak. Are we clear, Vivek? Fourth batch you are doing. Still confused about Yakut and Yalduz. Yakut or Yalduz different hai. हाँ है. Okay. Sakshi 28th and 29th. Tomorrow is a holiday. What is the reason behind it? Is my own personal reasons. You have been asking this for the past 45 minutes. Doesn't really change. There are 2 new holidays which I've invented for 28th and 29th. Enjoy it. Whatever you want to call them. Issue is different. And then you will ask me it's not making sense. No, tomorrow and day after we don't have a class. I've already told you that yesterday. I have a certain personal reasons for that. And if it is not enough, we have 2 new holidays. One is called Santa Claus Day. The other one is called Abhishek Mishra Day. Right? Okay. Now, but Qutb and Razia are father and daughter now. Again, you are getting confused. Iltutmish and Razia are father and daughter. कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. I am reading it out, that is why. Now, Iltutmish. One second. Iltutmish. Real consolidator of the conquests, saved the Delhi Sultanate from invasion of the Mongols, Genghis Khan. We already know that. Introduced Tanka silver coin, Jittal copper coin, Ikta and Chahalgani, Dal Chalisa, and the connection between what we call as 40 nobles, that ways. Now, thereafter, we know that the first evasion, Genghis Khan death by 1227, and thereafter a lull period for close to 20 years. Thereafter, we should make notes for Mongol Delhi Sultanate. I've already made that for you. I've already made that slide for you. Now, what Iltutmish will do is, he will start to consolidate this whole sector. And from just ruling Delhi, now they are expanding. Thereafter comes Razia. And Razia, the problems start. What are the problems? The Dal Chalisa struggle for power begins. She discarded female apparel, started holding court with her face unveiled. She even hunted and led the army in war. And therefore, she sent an expedition against Ranthambore to control the Rajputs, successfully established law and order in length and breadth of her kingdom. Rebellions broke out at Lahore and Sirhind. Razia personally led the expedition against Lahore, compelled the governor to submit. However, on her way to Sirhind, an internal rebellion broke out. Yaqut Khan was killed and Razia imprisoned at Tabarhind. However, Razia won over the captor Altunia, married him, made a renewed attempt on Delhi, but she will be killed by bandits in the forest in the Aravallis near Delhi itself. And thereafter, 4 years of rule, very rocky and very, very choppy in that regard. Thereafter, it will be Balban who will break out the power in that regard, wherein a strong and centralized government was established. He broke the scent of the Chalgani to restore the powers of the monarchy and established the Diwan-e-Ariz, the military department, towards a strong army itself. Balban sought to increase the prestige and the power of the monarchy and claimed to have been the descendant of Afrasiab, followed the policy of blood and iron to resolve and restore law and order, refused to even entertain any position other than a proper Turk in that regard, excluded Indian Muslims, all positions of power and authority. He even called himself Zilallah and asked people to do Sijda and Paibos. Now, I have already explained everything to you. Now, if you really want, I can slowly read it out to you. Please explain slowly from this slide. So you want me to read slowly. That's it. I have put in 45 minutes to tell you that story. So I don't know what you want from me. Either now I read like this. To keep himself well informed, Balban appointed spies in every department. Means spies were put in every department. He also organized a strong centralized army, both to deal with internal disturbances and repel the Mongols who were entrenched themselves in Punjab. So Mongols were sitting in Punjab. So Balban, what he did, he had a centralized army and the internal disturbance does not happen. So he used to repel the Mongols. Thereafter, although Balban had a strong army, he did not lead any distant expeditions except the one to Bengal or expand the empire for fear of Mongol attack on Delhi. This means that Balban never left Delhi because he had the fear of Mongols. Thereafter, Balban died in 1286 by asserting his power on the monarchy, strengthened the Delhi Sultanate. Delhi Sultanate strengthened by Balban, but he died by 1286. So I know how to speak English. Good orator I am. So if this is what you want from me, I'll do it. There's no point in telling you the whole story itself. So I'll based on certain people's demand, I will very simply प्यार से एकदम मजे मजा है एकदम fast नहीं fast is good no let's do the school way and keep on underlining as I'm telling you. So first get your priorities clear, what you want from me. Either I tell you the story, explain everything to you, and then I read it out to revise, or we read like we are in school and then I basically explain every point to you. Read English, I ask one of you to also read with me and we can then chat over it. All of you speak one point and we'll enjoy how we are going forward. So understand or remember what you wish for in that regard. So I can easily go slow in a very beautiful way of narrating. That is what I am, a storyteller. So I will enjoy. Now, Balban is the last person who is related properly with the Mamluks. Iltutmish and Balban, you have to remember, irrespective of anything. These two personalities are very standard in the examination, and therefore make sure that you do these two, which is Iltutmish and Balban properly. Razia in between comes like that. Now come the Khiljis. Khiljis, four major rulers. When Jalaluddin Khilji captures power, you can see North India has been properly established. Jalaluddin Firoz Khilji, Alauddin Khilji, Qutbuddin Muhammad Shah, and Khusrav Shah. Khusrav Shah will be killed by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq to capture power. But for me, these two matter. 1292, you have Abdullah, and 1297, you have, as you can see, within 1 year of his own rule, he had to feel or he had to fight with Dawa Khan and Kutluk Khwaja. And he will then start to move as much as lower into the Indian subcontinent and expand it. Now, what is Jalaluddin Khilji remembered for? Jalaluddin Khilji is remembered for bringing in a mixed origin, wherein Turkish Afghan origin, and he will now start to have a more representative, what we call as nobility. Chahalgani system is abandoned properly. Defeated the Mongols who invaded in 1292. He checked the powers of the Turkish nobility and followed a policy of tolerance, but he was too mellow for his own nephew, who is Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji has multiple expeditions, but that is something which is net level or even level of the PCS level examination, which is one is called the Chittor campaign, the other one is called Gujarat campaign, then the other one is called Warangal, the Kara campaign, Devagiri campaign, Yadavas campaign, Thanjavur campaign. But you can see by 1311 he had reached till the Thanjavur sector, where the Cholas had now more or less properly started to decline. So he will reach till that point. The Kakatiyas, the Hoysalas, and the Cholas all will see Alauddin Khilji moving southward in that regard. And in that sense, Alauddin Khilji was very powerful. A proper consolidator, ruthlessness and severity, rebellions of the army, even in the army or nobility, whole family was punished like under Balban. Very serious regulations. Even asked his nobles to ask him before they marry. So they should take permission before marriages. And what he's actually known for is the market reforms, which we'll discuss separately. Thereafter, when Alauddin Khilji dies, this is the expanse of the Delhi Sultanate. And in a way, after the Mauryas, after a very long time, a proper big empire, maybe the Guptas, a proper big empire had been established. However, the Tughlaqs will piece by piece lose it. By piece, lose it. How? First is Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. You have Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Till this point, you have to remember these first three are quite important. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq Shah, Abu Bakr, and Nasruddin Muhammad Tughlaq, and also called sometimes Mahmud Tughlaq, is the one who is important. I will show you three questions from this area. Once I've discussed this basic thing with you, I'll push it into the chat box. So you give me 5 minutes, we will discuss those questions. What can be asked from this area? So he was of mixed Turco-Indian origin, wherein Jat noble father was likely descendant of a Turkish slave itself. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq developed the Tughlaqabad fort. He was known to have rewarded everybody who helped him come to power. Known for his conflict with Sufi Saint Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya. He will bring in the laws of Alauddin Khilji. Again, we'll talk about that. He is the one who will have better postal system and encourage agriculture, trying to introduce more revenue because the empire is declining. Thereafter, Muhammad bin Tughlaq is mostly known for his 4 experiments, but he was a very learned king, knew astronomy, knew mathematics, philosophy, and he introduces many administrative reforms which mostly backfire. He is known to be the one who increased the taxation to half, and the non-Muslim peasantry started to run away, saying, we can't work under such a useless ruler who does not even understand agriculture. And in counter-production or in compensation, he will establish the Diwan-e-Kohi, or the Department of Agriculture. Department of Agriculture was to make sure that land is under cultivation and it is being cultivated in the right way, but again will not work out properly. By 1351, I'll discuss. By 1336, because of his whole drama, the Vijayanagara Empire will be established. And by 1347, Bahmani will come, which we will discuss next week. Thereafter, the last major ruler of this sector is Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Establishment of the Diwan-e-Khairat and Bandagan, meaning Khairat meaning you give to the people, Bandagan is slaves. He wanted better slave department. Thereafter, he will do something to Iqtidari which will destroy it. We'll discuss it separately. The standard taxes which were collected previously also. Kharaj is land tax. Khams is war booty, meaning if you win a war, you have to give 1/5 to the king. Jizya is a tax paid by non-Muslims to Muslim Sultan. This was introduced by Aibak. Yes, Kharaj would be Bhag in a way. Zakat is a one which is paid by Muslims to the Muslim king for religious purposes. But is remembered for the 4 cities he established: Hisar, Jaunpur, Fatehabad, Firozabad. You have to remember whatever I'm marking. He's also the one who basically established Hisar, and the whole canal system which you see in the Hisar sector is because of him. With this, we finish the political story. Now, what do you have to remember? I'll tell you, and then we can talk about the questions. First, Qutbuddin Aibak severs ties with, now revising, pay attention. Qutbuddin Aibak severs ties with the, what we call as the Ghuridian Empire, leads to establishment of Delhi Sultanate. That is his first major contribution. Iltutmish, Ikta, will discuss. Chahalgani, Tanka and Jittal, and he kept off Changiz Khan out of India. Thereafter, Razia, Chahalgani power goes up, is killed in that process. Balban brings down Chahalgani power. Diwan-e-Ariz, military department. Over and above that, he also makes sure that first January is a holidays. We also make sure that you have the power of the Sultan restored. Sijda Paibo, Safrasiyar, this and that. Thereafter, he moves one step further. Wherein we go to Alauddin Khilji. Balban managed Halaku and Terbadur. Alauddin Khilji keeps off in 1292 Abdullah. Thereafter, he will be succeeded by Alauddin Khilji, greatest, or rather, you want to say the most expansionary, keeps off Qutb Khwaja Daba Khan. Then Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, known for Alauddin Khilji. Muhammad bin Tughlaq for 4 experiments, which I will discuss with you later. And Firoz Shah Tughlaq for 4 cities. And the decline will start. Are we clear? If we are, I do the 2-3 questions which I'll just paste it into the chat box. Can I do that? Give me a minute and I'll just paste that question with regards to that. 1 second. I had planned to do it later, but why not? So that you understand the value of this discussion at least. Give me 1 second. I'm just posting that. There in 2023 and one in 2022. I'm just looking for it. It's in the PPT, but not this one. Gulam has already put it. Okay, good. Great. Thank you, Gulam. We should thank Gulam. He's done it. Okay. 2022. Now look at this question. With reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. The first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. During the reign of Alauddin Khilji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. And Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwest of his empire to the Mongols. Now, I'm pushing the poll to you. Unfortunately, this question has 2 answers, not 1. And we have to wait for it. So, I'm pushing the poll to you. Okay. 39, 22, 24, 15. Now you see which of them are correct. Now here the answer can be the C or D. Second statement is outrightly incorrect. Alauddin Khilji never lost nothing to the Mongols. So you eliminate A and B. Now Muhammad bin Tughlaq lost to Tarmashirin, that is known. 3 only is correct. But the problem is that how do you interpret first Mongol invasion of India? Would you say that first Mongol invasion is Iltutmish? How do you define invasion and first basically decides how you are going to answer this question. Once this interview round is over, we would get to know about the exact answer key, what it basically thinks of it, and thereafter we can then come to the conclusion, what did the examiner think of it. What did the examiner think of it? Now this is basically representative of how questions have been coming. 2022 question is directly on the Mongol invasion, which is quite interesting that way. Because it could either be D or could be C. We have to see if it is 1 and 3 or 3. 3 is correct for sure. But you all asked me what type of questions come. This is the type of question which comes. Wherein they're asking either 1 and 3 or 3 only. Simple point. We need to know these stories now. There's no grace marking in UPSC and all. There's no school. Can anybody give me the 2021 question in which one statement is related to Iltutmish? Acha, Gulam has already done that. Very good. Great. Thank you so much, Gulam. Okay. Yes. Thank you. It was during the reign of Iltutmish that Genghis Khan reached the Indus in pursuit of a Khwarizmi prince. This is 2021. It was during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq that Timur occupied the Multan and crossed the Indus. It was during the reign of Devraya II of the Vijayanagara Empire that Vasco da Gama reached. You can answer this question because if you have an understanding of modern India, you will be able to do the answer. Still, you can still do the answer in that regard. Okay. Okay, come on. Again, you see, back to back 2 years, they asked a question out of this area. The first statement is the whole story which I told you. Is the whole story which I told you. – 43% correct, 37%. See, Vasco da Gama did not reach under Devraya II. He came under, and I will teach you this, Imadi Narsimha or the Zamorians. So third statement is incorrect. So C and D automatically get incorrect. This is a Zamorian thing, standard thing which you do in modern India. Then first is correct, that we already know. Timur is not related to Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Timur is related to Mahmud Tughlaq. That is what they were actually playing on. Timur comes here. Timur comes here. And you can see the Muhammad bin Tughlaq period is 1351. He comes in 1398. So when this whole discussion will be done, you will be capable of answering the question. You'll be capable of answering the question. So don't worry about that. So we will discuss that when this whole discussion will be done. So don't worry, you will be able to answer this question once the whole discussion is done. Everything in this question is already what I used to teach for years, and they started to ask questions. Why am I giving you these questions? Because now do you understand the importance of the stories which I've told you? I hope that you realize that I'm not making these stories up, or not just basically doing these stories because I like to tell you these stories. They are basically coming in the examination from time to time, and therefore it is important that you do it. And this is a very, very important point you need to understand generally. Other than that, I would also like to do one more question. 1 second. Genghis Khan. Okay, that both the topics we have covered till this point. 1 second. Ikta we can't do. Okay, we can't do because Ikta and all are there. Yeah, we can't do those questions. Okay, so simple, straightforward. I started with you. Then I'm consolidating with you because within 13-14 minutes nothing can be done. So please listen to me. Firstly, Happy New Year to all of you. I'll be meeting you on 2nd January after this, and Imadi Narsimhaditya. So Happy New Year, and I hope that next year you all have started with a certain target in your life. You achieve it, and your New Year comes when your name comes in the list in that regard. So right now for a UPSC aspirant, New Year is mostly when the prelims examination happens. So our year changes when prelims examination happens. So I hope that you all get what you want and you achieve that.